Okay, so when you picture the Scottish Highlands, what comes to mind? Probably these vast, sweeping landscapes, right? Ancient castles, mysterious lochs. Well, to really get into that world, you need a key. And that key? It's a city, Inverness. It's so much more than just a spot on the map. It's your essential starting point for any real Highland adventure.
So, how can one single city be the key to such a huge, legendary part of the world? That's the big question, right? And it's exactly what we're going to break down. We're going to see how its location, its deep history, and its whole vibe make it the perfect launchpad for everything the Highlands has to offer.
First off, it's officially the capital of the Highlands. That's not just a cool nickname. As the northernmost city in the UK, it sits in this perfect strategic spot, right where the beautiful River Ness meets the sea at the Mari Firth. This location basically makes it the command center for the entire region, the hub for culture, administration, and travel.
And you know, part of its magic is how surprisingly compact it is. You can literally walk from one end to the other, exploring all these historic streets and riverside paths on foot. But don't let that small size fool you. It's perfectly set up to be your base camp, the place you come back to after a long day of exploring battlefields or maybe hunting for monsters on a loch.
So, before we venture out into those epic landscapes, let's explore the base camp itself. Inverness has more than enough to keep you busy, giving you this perfect mix of culture, history, and just chill vibes to get you ready for the big adventures ahead.
There's just so much to do right in the city. You can take a really peaceful walk along the River Ness out to the beautiful Ness Islands, or wander through the shops in the historic Victorian market. And you absolutely have to get lost in Leakey's bookshop. It's Scotland's biggest secondhand bookshop, and get this, it's housed inside a magnificent old Gaelic church. How cool is that? Plus, you can't miss the stunning 19th century Inverness Cathedral.
You know, Inverness really has this awesome dual personality. By day, it's all about scenic walks, historic sites, and quirky shops. But at night, oh, it completely transforms. The pubs just come alive with Scottish folk music. Places like Hootenanny and McGregor's are famous for their live music sessions every night. You can do a proper whiskey tasting, or just soak up the amazing atmosphere at Gillian's Bar, which, by the way, has been serving drinks since 1841. It's a real cultural experience.
Okay, now let's step just a few miles outside the city, because this is where the peaceful atmosphere gives way to some of the most dramatic and important history in all of Britain. This is where Inverness really earns its title as a gateway to the past.
This is where it all went down, the final Jacobite Rising. It all came to a brutal end on April 16, 1746, at the Battle of Culloden, which is just a short bus ride from the city. What's absolutely staggering is how fast it was over. The fate of the Highlands was basically sealed in less than an hour on that wet, boggy moor. The crackdown that followed was just brutal. They even passed laws to dismantle the clan system, banning things like tartan and kilts.
And Culloden wasn't just any old fight, it was what's known as a pitched battle, and it was the very last one ever fought on British soil. That's a huge deal. It means this wasn't some surprise ambush. Basically, both armies agreed to show up at a certain time and place, they faced each other across the field, and they had it out. It was a major turning point, not just for Scotland, but for the history of warfare in Britain.
And the human cost, it's just heartbreaking. We're talking about roughly 1,500 Jacobite soldiers who died that day, and they're buried right there on the battlefield in mass graves. When you visit today, you have to remember you're walking on a sacred war grave. It's a powerful, somber place marked by these simple stones with the names of the clans who fought and died there, like Clan Cameron and Clan Stewart.
And what is just mind-blowing is that literally minutes from the Culloden battlefield, you can jump even further back in time, like 4,000 years further. The Clogha Cairns are this incredible, mysterious collection of Bronze Age burial mounds and standing stones. The fact that this ancient sacred site is right next door to a modern battlefield, well, it just shows you how deep the layers of history are in this one small area.
All right, so we've been through the stark reality of history. Now, let's use that same gateway to step into the world of myth and legend. We're leaving the battlefield behind and heading for the dark, deep waters of Scotland's most famous and mysterious loch.
Loch Ness. I mean, just saying the name gives you a little bit of a chill, doesn't it? It just brings up these images of mystery, of something ancient and unknown lurking right below the surface. And for generations, the legend of its most famous resident has totally captured the world's imagination.
So you've got the legend of Nessie, fueled by countless supposed sightings over the years. But then you have the science, which gives us a different angle. The water visibility is practically zero, because the hills around it are full of peat, which stains the water this dark, murky brown. Then you add in the fact that the loch is incredibly deep, over 600 feet in some spots. So you've got the perfect conditions for a legend to not just survive, but to thrive.
Today, there are so many ways to experience the loch. You can go full-on monster hunter and take a boat cruise with sonar to scan the depths yourself. You can explore the absolutely dramatic ruins of Urquhart Castle, which gives you this killer view over the water. Or for something totally different, you can hop on a high-speed jet boat in the nearby Moray Firth and go looking for pods of wild dolphins.
So we've seen how Inverness opens the door to history and to legend. Now, let's get practical. Let's get down to the brass tacks of how you can actually use this gateway to plan your own perfect Highland adventure. This is always the big question, isn't it? With so much awesome stuff to see and do, how do you make the most of your time without feeling like you're just rushing around everywhere? Okay, here's my advice. Focus. If you only have 2 days, spend one exploring Inverness itself, and then, for day 2, pick one major theme. Either do a deep dive into the history at Culloden, or go all in on the legend of Loch Ness. But if you have 3 or more days, well, that's a game changer. You can do both, and then use Inverness as your home base to go even further, maybe with a full-day tour out to the spectacular Isle of Skye.
And getting to your gateway city is actually part of the adventure. You can take the famous Caledonian Sleeper train overnight from London for a truly unforgettable arrival. You can fly right into Inverness Airport, which is the main hub for the whole region. Or, if you're a road trip fan, Inverness is the official start and end point for the epic North Coast 500, one of the most incredible driving routes in the world.
So, that's really what Inverness offers. It's the key that unlocks a land filled with profound history, timeless legends, and just breathtaking beauty. It gives you the base camp and the access to explore it all. So the only question left really is, what story will you discover first?